So mathematics has mathematicians have a very unique way of asking questions. Sometimes they ask questions in a very indirect way, and half the effort is to understand the question itself. So let's see what do we have and what do we know about this particular question. What we have is y equal to a multiplied by x minus 2 into x plus 4. So this looks like a quadratic equation, because if we solve this we'll get x squared, x times x becomes x squared, and there is a coefficient outside, so they are multiplying the whole thing by a. So this looks like a quadratic equation. So whenever there is a quadratic equation, we know that it forms a parabola, and we know the fundamentals of drawing a parabola with the help of a quadratic equation given to us. So this is the factored form of quadratic equation, and from this we can find out the coordinates, the x coordinates where the parabola would pass through. So if I equate it to 0, because the y coordinates are 0 whenever it crosses the x-axis, whichever are the 2 points where it crosses the x-axis, we can equate it to 0 here. So x minus 2 becomes 0, and then x becomes equal to 2, and similarly x plus 4 is equal to 0, or x becomes minus 4, which means this is an upward opening parabola with the coordinates minus 4 and 2. Right? Why upward opening parabola? Because the coefficient of x square, as we can see here, this a term is a positive. So when it is positive, we know that it is an upward opening parabola as shown here. Okay, so this is what is the interpretation of the question. We have not, interpretation of this equation. If we draw a graph of it, it would look like this. Like, I can draw it once again. So this is my xy plane, and I can see my x coordinates are at 2 and minus 4. So this is my, let's say, minus 4, this is my 2, and here I can draw the parabola like this. So this is my parabola, and these are the coordinates. I've just read this and I've tried to interpret the consequences of the equation. If I make a parabola of it, how would the parabola look like? All right, now let's read the question. In the quadratic equation above, a is a non-zero constant. So this one is non-zero, which means the whole term is not zero. Had this been 0, then the whole thing would have become 0. The graph of the equation in the xy plane is a parabola. So we understand, okay, the graph is a parabola. In the xy plane is a parabola with vertex CD. Now what is this vertex CD? Vertex CD. So this point where if I draw a line which divides the parabola into two equal parts, this line is called as the vertex, right? This line is called as the axis of symmetry, and this point is called as the vertex. So this is the axis of symmetry, and because it divides the parabola into two equal halves, and this point is basically the vertex. So this is the vertex. They are saying that the coordinates of vertex are c comma d. So we are supposed to find the value of d, which is basically the y coordinate of the vertex. This is what it says, which of the following is equal to d. So basically we have to find out the vertex, and in the vertex, which is in the form of c comma d, we have to find the value of d, and this is going to be the answer. Okay, so what can we do? One way is to draw it the way we have drawn it here. So I've got minus 4 and 2, and as we know, if minus 4 and 2 are the 2 points, and if you want to find the midpoint formula is this. We can sum the two numbers and divide it by 2. That will give us the middle number. So we have got 2 points as 2 and minus 4, what would be the midpoint? The midpoint of 2 and minus 4 will be 2 plus minus 4 by 2. So 2 plus minus 4 by 2 gives me minus 1, which means my x coordinate is minus 1 here, which means this point where my vertex passes through, the x coordinate of the vertex is minus 1. Now all I have to do is just put the value minus 1 here in this equation, and I'll get the answer. So when x equal to minus 1, this becomes equal to minus 3, minus 3 plus 4 gives me minus 3 into plus 3, and minus 3 into plus 3 will give me minus 9, and this whole thing is multiplied by a, so my answer becomes minus 9a. So let me repeat the steps once again. Number one, I drew the graph, so I'm writing draw the graph. When I draw the graph, before drawing it, I have to find out what are the coordinates of the parabola, as in where does the two arms of the parabola cut the x-axis. And this I can draw from this. The two arms cut the parabola at x equal to 2 and x equal to minus 4. So once I know that x equal to 2 and minus 4 are the two coordinates, I can find out the midpoint. How did I find the midpoint? I found the midpoint by summing this up and dividing it by 2. So this becomes 2 plus minus 4 by 2, which is like minus 2 by 2, which is minus 1. So I got this minus 2 plus minus 4 by 2, which is minus 1 here, as you can see. So I found that the x coordinate of my axis of symmetry is x coordinate of the vertex, as we can say, or x coordinate of the vertex of symmetry as well, is minus 1. So this line actually passes through minus 1. This point is minus 1, right? It does pass through minus 1 as far as the x coordinate is concerned. Now when I know that it is minus 1, the value of x is minus 1, and I want to find the value of y, I can just use this equation itself. So I put minus 1 in this equation and I get the answer. So this becomes minus 3, this becomes 3, minus 3 times 3 gives me minus 9, so the answer becomes minus 9a.